In this era of deep complexity,
They couldn't play it in Europe right now because they're undergoing a tremendous heat wave. And our air conditioning is blowing their minds.
beyond the edges of black or white,
I don't think anything is going to change unless the regime is going to change. And I don't think the regime is going to change unless there's a social uprising.
it's time to be notionally accurate.
Like, it's about more than just your personal feelings on whether a party 100% all the time represents you. You have a conflict of visions. Thomas Sewell, great book.
Here's your host, Captain Kirk.
Yeah, the gay couple had gone to multiple different bakeries trying to get denied, and they finally found one in Jack Phillips. And the entire ball got rolling there. The Supreme Court stepped in and said, hey, stop that.
And some guy named Jason.
The one thing I love doing is talking California.
Welcome one and all to the 33rd episode of the Notionally Accurate podcast, produced live right here at the One Man's Burden Studios, in my undisclosed compound, located in the same red light district where California Democrats go wherever they need to find enough votes to win elections in the Golden State. My name is Captain Kirk, and I'll be your affable host. Welcome to Notionally Accurate, a special July 4th episode. My name is Captain Kirk. I'm here with some guy named Jason.
Hey, how is everybody? Happy birthday, America. 250 years old, bro. Who knew? No, they said it wouldn't last.
Just like yesterday, we began, and here we are. Started from the bottom, now we're here.
Yeah, dude, 250 years, the grand experiment, the greatest country on the planet. And I am saying that unabashedly. I can say that. It is empirically proven. The United States is the best. So happy birthday to us.
It's just stats. You know, it's just
no,
stats.
honestly, it's the highest. It's the highest level of form of living in the world. Our economy drives the world. Our military conducts the world. So yeah, happy birthday, America. We take on the burdens of everything, and the American worker is without the American worker, the world would be destitute.
No lies detected.
Yeah, so happy birthday, America. And this brings us directly into a topic, Captain Kirk, to which I know you are you've been following deeply, the World Cup. So you are not a soccer fan, right?
I can't say that I am.
Okay. And I want to let you know, too, being that it is America, being that it is 250 years old, I am going to say soccer, okay? I'm not going to say football. I love soccer. I think it's great. Soccer is a word that came from English slang to describe football.
Ask a British person and an American person to describe the sport of football and you'll get two very different explanations. That's because the sport Americans think of when they hear football is American football, which resembles rugby more than association football. Many Brits will scoff as their American friends call what Brits think of when we hear the term football soccer. Americans always wanting to be different. We invented the game. We should decide what it's called. Not so fast, my fellow British person, as it turns out that soccer is actually a British word that was imported into the US. Back in the day, there were two types of football, rugby football and association football. Nowadays in the UK, we shorten these to rugby and football, but back then, rugby was shortened to rugger, and mirroring this, the word association in association football was shortened to sock, and hence soccer. Believe it or not, soccer was in fact the recognised term in Britain for the first half of the 20th century, but fell out of favour towards the latter part of the century when it faced backlash in Britain, apparently due to the overuse by Americans as the sport finally penetrated their culture. In short, both football and soccer are perfectly correct ways of referring to the sport, and if anything, Brits can not only claim ownership to the invention of the sport, but the term soccer too. So next time an American says soccer, maybe don't give them such a hard time. Or, you know, give them unrelenting banter because every true Brit knows that it's football, not soccer, right?
They would call it soccer, and that's so the Americans picked it up. And we're the only country in the world that calls it soccer. But what has happened with this World Cup It is quite the phenomena. This World Cup, it's the first time that 3 countries are actually hosting. It's a North American host. So Canada's hosting, the United States is hosting, and Mexico is hosting. It's also 2 where they have expanded it to 64 teams. So there are teams in this World Cup that have the opportunity to be in it that didn't have the opportunity before, meaning that their fans are coming to a World Cup that they would never have had an opportunity to come to before. Unless you're Italian.
Hey.
Anyway, so what has happened is these countries have gotten in. They are coming to the United States, Canada, Mexico. I haven't heard this so much in Canada, and I have not heard. I've heard a little bit about it in Mexico, but in the United States, the Europeans are blown away by what we have here. They are realizing that they've been lied to. That we're not all horrible racists who dislike anyone who's not American, and we're all fat and dumb, and we don't want anyone around, and we think we're overbearing and we're not kind at all.
Bumpkins
we're in our way or the highway, And then they came here. And did you hear the story about the Tartan Army?
I did not. Tell me.
Okay, so the Tartan Army is the group of people that support Scotland. If you're a Tartan, you're from Scotland. So they show up to Boston, bro, and they literally, and I'm not being dramatic here, they literally drank the city dry.
Oh my God.
There were bars that this one guy, they had this guy look at me, he's like, they drank all the beer. The only beer we have left is Bud Light. They don't even drink Bud Light. But they showed up. The Scots showed up, got along with Boston fantastically. The Norwegians show up. The Norwegians are doing their they have this row cheer that they do where they boom, boom, and they all act like they're Viking rowing. They did it in Times Square. The Brazilians show up. They're having a great time, whatever. You see these people react to American things, and it is I don't know. It just shows to me that there is obviously something trying to separate the United States from the rest of the world. And I don't think it's Donald Trump. Donald Trump might stand up for the United States, might be definitive for the United States, but I don't think he's trying to separate the United States from Europe or from the rest of the world.
Excuse me, sir. Donald Trump is an isolationist. He's also a war hawk and the world's policeman at the same time, okay? So you need to respect that boundary, okay? I think so, just a little bit. Okay?
Well, what Donald Trump believes in borders.
Yep.
Donald Trump believes in a market economy.
Yep.
Donald Trump is a capitalist. He's a populist. And anyway, with this World Cup, it is showing that to the world, what's interesting about this is there are people who are spending literally their life savings on going to 2 soccer games. They're flying from Scotland. They're going to be here for 2 weeks. They're going to see 2 games, go horribly in debt over this, and have the greatest time of their lives. And that's what people are doing. And they're realizing, oh my God, the United States, they have air conditioning. They have ice. This is crazy. You should see Japanese people try Texas barbecue. It's phenomenal.
What's this about ranch dressing?
Yes, that my point exactly. They're like, oh my God, ranch dressing, Chick-fil-A. Who knew Chick-fil-A was phenomenal? You know who did? We did. We knew who Chick-fil-A was phenomenal. There are gay guys who go to Chick-fil-A almost daily, and it grinds them, but the chicken is so good that they can't help it. It's the way it is. But the Chick-fil-A sauce, apparently, they're taking that back in buckets. They're taking the ranch dressing back in buckets.
Ranch dressing, yeah.
Yeah. I guess what is the World Cup unintentionally went against the narrative
of America bad.
Yeah. of Orange Man bad. This place is horrible.
Yep.
They have race riots every other day. They don't. They're not going to like you because you're different. And so this World Cup has been really interesting because of the expansion of it. B, it's been a great. I don't know. I love seeing people love the United States, and I love seeing the United States love people. Because if you assimilate people, come here, like we dig it, man. Like you have to assimilate, though. You have to assimilate.
Yep, absolutely. And who hates this? The left, the communist left, despises this.
Absolutely, they don't want to talk about no Democrats talking about the World Cup right now. There's more important things happening right now than the World Cup. I guarantee you. There's no reason for them to bring that up because it goes against the narrative.
And we're recording this a day after the United States national team, the men's team, beat Bosnia.
Yeah, and that was a great game.
So they're advancing.
Yeah, we're playing Belgium on Monday.
Good luck to those Belgians.
No, not Monday. We're playing. I don't know when we're playing.
I can find out.
Yeah, No, you know who's playing Monday is Argentina, and because my daughter is like she's really into the World Cup this year, and she's like, "When's Argentina playing?" And I was telling her, I was like, "Wow, you're really maybe." She's like watching Messi because Messi, I consider the greatest soccer player on the planet right now. But I was like, "Man, maybe she's really getting into the soccer thing." Come to find out, Argentina has the cutest boys. So
fair.
Yeah.
So
yep.
I understand that there's a Messi, but is there a cleanly?
Dude, too soon. Too soon. Messy, cleanly. Yeah, he didn't. It's horrible. But this World Cup. My other thought too was with this, and I'll wrap it up with this. Is I don't think right now any other nation could have what the United States is having when they bring these people over. I don't think people would have the same experience in London. I don't think people would have the same experience in Paris or Berlin.
Excuse me, sir. You don't think people bring back fish and chips when they visit London?
No, and I'm not even saying that. I'm saying the reception, how it just like blew up. It like everything was just like, this is great. I don't think people, because Qatar, the last World Cup was held in Qatar, and they had to do it during the winter because they did it in the Arab world because the summer's too hot to play soccer there. So they did it over Thanksgiving, which is stupid. But there was no response like this. It wasn't like this, where you have Japanese people going around trying hummus. You know what I mean? Like it's not like that. So.
Well, they couldn't play it in Europe right now because they're undergoing a tremendous heat wave. And our air conditioning is blowing their minds.
And
incredible.
Ice. I like ice in all kinds of ways. Yeah.
Yeah. You're talking about the Frenchman, right?
Yeah. They had a clip of a Frenchman who he could not get over how much ice we use. We have so much ice, and I use ice and everything. He's like, "Oh, this ice is fantastic. I put it on my drinks." People tell me, "Watch out for ice. Don't go near the ice." And I don't know why. I love the ice. The ice is fantastic.
I have found out why America is so great, and it is one thing and one thing only: air conditioning. It is the greatest thing I have ever experienced. It is hotter than Satan's butt crack out here. But what makes it bearable is the air conditioning. I believe you need to add a verse to your national anthem that talks about air conditioning. Americans are only scared of one thing, and that is being hot. But I love it. I love it. Is it something you have against being hot? Because the air conditioning, the ice in everything. Alors, something that I figured out while being here is that ice makes everything better. Better. I am convinced Americans put ice in every drink. The other day, I was out for breakfast. And I was at a cafe. I look over, and a man had ice in his milk. Oh. Americans love ice so much. Le Titanic, no, le Titanic, whatever you say. I believe the Titanic was out to get more ice. Here in Texas, I see these signs that say that some people want ice. I don't understand that, and then people tell me that ice will take me away. What is this?
So go United States. We're playing Belgium next. Go World Cup. Soccer's awesome. The world's awesome. And the United States is a phenomenal host.
My only question as far as the reception from those who have come over from overseas, do we not have a tourism industry? Like, is this, I just don't understand how this could be like the first time they're experiencing this.
Well, okay, so yeah, and we talked about that before the show, and I have a theory on that. This is post-COVID, so there are a lot of people who have not really gone anywhere in years, and there's a generation of people coming up that haven't really gone anywhere because of that. B, the World Cup is, as much as people go into debt and as expensive as it is more meant for everybody. So if you can afford it, you can come to the World Cup. I think people are experiencing this now because it's post-COVID. They've never really traveled before. All they're hearing about from the news is how horrible the United States is, how we back Israel and we're genociders and all that kind of stuff. So they've never really had a chance to see us up front. So now this is the first time. That's my thought is I think COVID really affected a lot of travel and media
Trust and how we view the objectivity of the media.
Well, the average Norwegian's not going to go into a lifetime worth of debt just to come see the United States. They would come to watch a football game or a soccer game. And then while they're here, the byproduct is, oh my God, this place is amazing. Because they would spend that same money going to Qatar.
Fair. I just can't see myself ever going into debt for a soccer game.
Yeah, I don't know if I could either. But when you watch Mexico, they score a goal, and in Mexico City, watching live, they're not even at the game because the game was in Montenegro, but in Mexico City at the plaza, there were 1 million people there. And when they scored the goal, they have a shot of the 1 million people cheering, and it is unbelievable. So I wouldn't go into lifetime debt. I wouldn't, but there is a pride here that every nation feels that it's really cool to see. It's really cool to see people from the Ivory Coast be proud of the Ivory Coast. See people from Japan be proud. The Japanese, did you hear what they do? So the Japanese have been rising in ranks with their football team. But what they do traditionally is they show up and they clean. They watch the game, and then the Japanese fans stay behind and clean up after themselves. The Japanese teams clean up the locker room. You should see pictures. They have Jameis Winston, the football player.
Oh yeah, the quarterback.
Yeah, he is seen with a Japanese team jersey on, up with the fans, picking up at the World Cup. And they say it's because you are a host, so we want to honor you with hosting us. But that's just cool. That's a cool thing that, I don't know. So I'm impressed. This World Cup is fantastic. It's showing the world how awesome we are. 250 years. I mean, the people who are here now and they get to have a good 4th of July. You know how cool that's going to be for someone who's from somewhere to come here, and at our 250th anniversary, you're in, New York, or you're in Dallas, or you're in, it'd just be cool. I don't know.
Well, so, I don't know about how cool being in New York at this time would be, but
right. Well, yeah.
Or how about Los Angeles?
Okay. See, now you're dangling the bait in front of me. Something. If you are the one person who listens to this show, you will know the one thing I love doing is shit talking California. And what happened with this Spencer Pratt thing? I don't understand how countries can have an election done in a matter of hours. Florida, literally, they have their election done like within 20 minutes of them closing the polls, right? But somehow, some way, California just cannot get their shit together enough to where they're counting votes weeks and months afterwards.
I think they're still counting votes.
That's so ridiculous.
It's been finished.
So because they found votes, Rahman and Bass now are in the primary.
Exactly. Yep.
So it's left and right hand.
Essentially.
Give me a break.
Yeah. So you have a corrupt socialist or a out and out socialist. It's like, okay, take your pick. And you were talking about Florida and California. What are just, scratching my head here. What differences exist between California and Florida? One would say it's a partisan thing, right?
One's on the Atlantic, one's on the Pacific.
It's true. I mean, you're not wrong there. No lies detected.
Geographically speaking,
you are a man of the world, Jesus. and you can break it down very easily for us.
Well, here's the thing: if you were to ask the average American, out of 1,000 people, would you want to go to LA right now?
Yeah, about that.
What percentage is going to go? 10%? Less?
That high? Oh, yeah, it's like
because everyone knows
maybe?
LA's a shithole right now. Everybody knows. If anything that Spencer Pratt did, at least he let the cat out of the bag and showed everybody how horrible it is there. If you didn't know before, you know now. I had buddies that moved to LA, and I asked them, "Hey, did you get out of there?" And they're like, "Man, we left a couple of years ago." I talked to one guy. He's like, "It was horrible." He said it was horrible. Like, he had one guy that would poop in front of him almost daily. This crazy guy.
I've been told that doesn't happen.
Yeah. It's rigged. You know it's rigged. Everyone knows it's rigged. The whole thing, it makes me upset. And I don't think I want to go to California at some point. Honestly, it's like a bucket list thing for me to see the sequoias. I'd love to go to Northern California. I would love that. But this is ridiculous.
You go into debt to see the sequoias?
No, I'm not going to debt to see that. I'm not doing all that.
Okay.
I want to see them, but I'm not. It's not that bad. No, it's what's frustrating is at one point, California had the 4th largest economy in the world. I don't think they do now. And I don't think they're going to 10 years from now. They have driven it into the state, and it's affecting everything else. It's affecting and infecting. Here in Colorado, we just elected or to set to the primary another Democratic socialist. And now people just call themselves this now. Now it's a thing. They're a Democratic socialist. You know who else was a Democratic socialist? And I know this word is used too much. But you know who else was a Democratic socialist? That's right, the Nazis. And I know the word is used way too much. But they actually were Democratic socialists. I don't know. So there's a part of me that makes me upset. There's a part of me where people are just dumb. They're just dumb. And they're going to vote for this. They want Mamdani in New York. They want this. Here in Colorado, we're voting in leftist regime, watching California burn. And we're voting in the same things here. Because the sickness, the machine has reached deep within the wells of Colorado now. So a Republican winning in Colorado is as ludicrous as them winning in California.
And the quote-unquote Democratic, unquote, socialist that you mentioned, her name is Melit Kairos. And she is an Ethiopian immigrant who has come to this country kind of like Ilhan Omar and has just blessed it with wonderful comments and fantastic belief structure of America bad, Trump bad. We need to abolish prisons and open up the borders and defund the police. We need to implement a nationwide entitlement program to take care of, every biped that comes in. And yeah, that's how things are going in Colorado. Didn't you guys also nominate as your Democrat candidate for governor somebody by the name of Phil Weiser? Do you know anything about Phil Weiser?
I don't know that much, no.
So he won his seat as Attorney General in 2018, having never been inside a courtroom.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And so he beat George Brockler, who was eminently qualified for the position, who does have courtroom experience. And so Phil Weiser gets in there. And I don't know if he was responsible for the initial litigation against, you remember Jack Phillips of Masterpiece Cake? Oh, he doesn't want to make a cake for a gay couple.
Oh, yeah,
that gay couple had gone. Yeah, the gay couple had gone to multiple different bakeries trying to get denied, and they finally found one in Jack Phillips. And the entire ball got rolling there. The Supreme Court stepped in and said, hey, stop that. They tried to put a hamper on that, but they narrowed it down, and they said, well, because this commissioner by the name of Donna Rice said some things that were anti-Christian, it kind of made it seem like it was a religious beliefs issue, and they ruled in favor of Jack Phillips. It was like the next day, a transgendered lawyer goes into Masterpiece Cake and is like, hey, make me, I don't know, like a gay pride flag with a dildo on it or whatever. And Jack's like, F off. And he got sued again. And I think the kibosh was put on that as well in a case. I'll do a little bit more research on that. But yeah, and Phil Weiser was the Attorney General. He has a terrible track record with issues of like free speech. The recent decision to allow counselors to discuss treatment for one's gender dysphoria, Colorado had tried to legislate that and make that illegal. And Phil Weiser was the one that was like, oh, we're going to take this to the Supreme Court. They're going to rule in our favor because, hey, we care about our trans citizens and non-citizens. And he got shut down. I think he's like 0 for 9 or something. I'd probably be exaggerating a little bit. But he has a terrible track record in the Supreme Court. And now he's going to be Colorado's governor because, according to the Daily Camera, which is a Boulder, Colorado-based newspaper, the headline reads, in razor-thin race, Victor Marx holds on to lead against Barb Kirkmeyer for the GOP governor nomination. This was about 7 hours ago as of this recording. And Victor Marx is somebody that came out of nowhere. Nobody's ever heard of him before. And all of a sudden he's taken the grassroots and Republican Party by storm in some weird, I don't know, Manchurian candidate way in order to lose by 20 points, where Barb Kirkmeyer, who is I believe she's either a state senator or state representative or both, one and then the other, she would lose maybe by 7 or 8 points. But Victor Marx, he's going to get destroyed in November. So you guys are going to have probably Jenna Griswold. I think she won the Attorney General's race to replace Phil Weiser. She was the Secretary of State who helped imprison Tina Peters for exposing election fraud. Phil Weiser is going to be the governor, and then Michael Bennet and Hickenlooper are going to be the senators. And it's just, it's madness down there, and it all flows from what's happening in California. As goes California, so goes the nation. And we see it in politics in normally purplish, reddish Colorado.
Well, yeah, it's not, I don't think, yeah. It's unfortunate. And the only thing that's going to stop it is places like Florida. That's the only, because Florida is popping. Every millionaire has moved to Florida. A lot of millionaires have moved to Texas.
Yeah, Texas, yeah.
Texas is huge. So we have to balance this out because California, I don't know, they're going to elect Bass again. Or they're going to elect Rahman, even though because that's a change. Like whatever. It's the same thing. And what is this? What is it? How long is their term? 4 years?
The LA mayorship?
Yeah.
Yeah, 4 years.
Yeah. So what is that city going to look like 4 years from now?
Oh my gosh. How many more
like what
horrendous fires can LA withstand?
Seriously, it's not going to get any better.
It's not.
At all. And when they got rid of Spencer Pratt, it's the machine working its thing. And it's So I don't know. So let them sit in it.
So before we get too depressed about Spencer Pratt and what happened, he was gearing up for a runoff primary against Karen Bass, and wouldn't you know, they found something like 40,000 votes for this communist. Don't say Democratic Socialist.
Retard.
She's a communist named Nithya Raman, and suddenly she's in the running for the runoff, and it's madness. But before we get too depressed about that, let's keep in mind, just like New York, LA has a weak mayoral system where the city council is what matters, just like in New York. And Mamdani, the mayor there, he's trying to do all these things, and there's some pushback from the council. It's not tremendous. It's mostly just the billionaires that are still there putting up a fight. In LA, they had the same thing, and the city council would be just as tough against Pratt as the New York City Council would have been against Curtis Silva or whoever the Republicans had put up. So let's not get too depressed. So even if Pratt won, he'd be facing a tremendous uphill climb. And I get it, he has the bully pulpit at that point, and he can use his social media following to get some traction in some policy positions, but he wouldn't be able to do everything. And so we shouldn't get too depressed.
No, he wouldn't be able to do everything, but it would be a step in the right direction. It's like the Trump-Harris election. That we're not saying that Trump's going to answer all of the nation's problems, but oh my God, what would have happened if Harris would have won? Where would this world be right now? Could you even imagine what this world would be like? Because everyone can be mad about how Trump has got us into this war, but okay, that's nothing compared to what where we could be. Oh my God, if October 7th happened and Kamala was the president, oh my God,
we'd be bogged down in Dallas right now, trying to take out Governor Abbott or whatever, another freedom crusade. But yeah, it's terrible. The borders would have been open. We would have, I think, let's say the Democrats had taken the Senate in 2024, filibuster gone, Supreme Court packed. There'd be no stopping them, and that's what they're threatening this upcoming election. And in 2028, they want to retake the House and the Senate, and then win the presidency or impeach Trump. Though I don't think they understand that impeachment requires also conviction, and thus J.D. Vance would be president. I don't think they would have any political capital to impeach and remove both Trump and Vance, which would then bring us, I think it's the Speaker of the House, who right now is Mike Johnson, but it could be, oh my God, Hakeem Jeffries. And if you don't know about Hakeem Jeffries, just look into his relationship with his uncle, Leonard Jeffries, yes, a Columbia alum. I believe he went to Columbia.
Mm-hmm.
And so
yeah, that's what yeah, you found that out.
Yeah, and so he has a sordid history of anti-white and anti-Jewish bigotry that somehow has really escaped scrutiny. And Hakeem defended him. Well, it's just free speech to hate white people and Jews. They're the cause of the black man's problems. And then when he's asked about it, it's like, whoa, I don't even know what you're talking about. You can hear that audio in episode 32. And so, bring it back around to what happened to Pratt. Yeah, it sucks. Absolutely. But as we see in his race up to this point, he's a fighter. He's obviously not backing down, and he's continuing to pound away at Bass and company.
Yeah. Well, they wanted it. This is what you want. This is what you get. And we'll just watch
did
these.
H.L. Mencken say? The people get the government they voted for, and they get it good and hard.
Yeah, they do. And we'll just watch these red states explode.
They're booming.
We'll just watch them grow financially and socially, and we'll just watch that happen. And this brings us to our next thought, because the Republicans up to this point have raised $850 million. The Democrats have only raised $568 million. With these Democratic strongholds that are obviously manipulated, that are obviously rigged. I mean, it's obvious. It's rigged. I don't know. I guess we talked about it a little bit. I texted you how important the Supreme Court is, because with that branch of the government, ideally, politics should not be. I mean, it's going to be in the mix, but it's not going to be heavily in the mix.
Shouldn't be the overriding
factor. There's balance
factor.
there. Yeah, right, exactly. And I don't know. So so you are a big Supreme Court
spectator,
researcher, I suppose. Yeah, you love some Supreme Court. So you've been bringing me around to everyone, and I love how you look at the Supreme Court justices like baseball cards.
Explain.
You have 9 people that you look at, and all their stats and what they do, and it's really interesting. So we were talking about before the show the Supreme Court ruling of the birthright citizenship, and it seemed rather partisan, right? This ruling, or not? Would you? Because it was. What was it? It was 5-4 or 6-3?
So it was essentially 6-3 because it was Roberts, Barrett, Ketanji Brown Jackson, Sotomayor, Kagan, and Kavanaugh, who voted in the majority to uphold what's called birthright citizenship. Essentially, if you can make it to the U.S. and you're a featherless biped, you plop out a baby, it becomes a full-fledged U.S. citizen with all the kit and caboodle that citizenship entails. So what the Supreme Court did is affirmed an 1898 case called Wong Kim Ark, where at the time they were addressing a kind of a different issue. It wasn't about illegal immigration, which is the main concern this nation is facing right now. It was about Chinese immigrants and coming over to California and Oregon at the time, and whether or not the children that they had were citizens. And Alito, Thomas, and Gorsuch all voted against it, all ruled against reaffirming Wong Kim Ark. And so I just can't understand why they ruled that way, other than they don't care about the nation. I mean, that's a very harsh thing to say. I don't want that to be the case. So what they were relying on, and you'll hear it from all the hacks, all the leftists and the open border libertarian types, the big business types, that Section 1 of the 14th Amendment, which was written after the Civil War, and there were some issues about whether or not it was passed appropriately. There were some states that rescinded their ratifications. I'm not going to get into that. Section 1 of the 14th Amendment says, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. And that was to make citizens out of the recently freed slaves. Makes perfect sense. I get it. The framers of that amendment had no idea that we would be facing the influx of illegal immigrants and fraudulent visa overstays, for example, that we are facing today. They had no clue that we would abdicate our responsibility in that fashion. So what I was hoping the Supreme Court would do, and I think this makes perfect sense. If you're an illegal immigrant, the children you have here do not have citizenship conferred. You can tinker around the edges, but do they deserve citizenship? If somebody comes across the border illegally and has a baby, that's called an anchor baby. Like the framers of the 14th Amendment had no clue that we would allow that kind of trespass upon the country. And the key phrase that will forever ring out to me is, and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. Illegal immigrants are in the shadows, metaphorically speaking, and legally speaking. They are not subject to the United States, to the idea that the United States knows who they are and can confer entitlement programs or anything of that nature, driver's licenses, to illegal immigrants. And so I was hoping that they would say, if you're a legal immigrant and you have residency here and you have a child, okay, we will confer citizenship to you. But what they did is they said, well, no, if you come over here, congratulations, you're an American citizen if you have a child. And that is going to stick in my craw till I die, because they had such an easy opportunity to clarify, and that's what I think this Supreme Court does pretty well, is clarify issues that we've had, 20 years past, 50 years past, whatever. Clarified things. They've clarified the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act. They've clarified the Second Amendment. They've clarified the gerrymandering issue. They've clarified temporary protective status for Haitians, much to the chagrin of, again, the leftists who don't believe in borders, who want to dilute the efficacy of citizenship, the libertarian big business types who want the influx of migrants, legal and illegal, in order to pick their berries and clean their toilets in their corporate offices. It's madness. It's absolute madness.
So obviously they're interpreting the law. So to a certain degree, it's opinion, right? It's opinion, and we just value their opinion.
It is their opinion of what the phrase and the subject to the jurisdiction thereof means. It is their opinion. It's not right. It's not inherently stated in the Constitution, so they have to interpret that clause. I have repeated multiple times, confers citizenship upon the children of illegal immigrants.
It's interesting because when you think of the law is black and white. You know what I mean? Like, that's like, as an average citizen, it's either you're breaking the law or you're not breaking the law. Like, it's kind of, it's, and you can tell yourself if you are breaking the law, nah, I'm not breaking the law. But, it's either you're breaking the law or you're not breaking the law. And what's interesting here is this is the opinion of what that law is that you're breaking or not breaking.
Yeah, precisely.
And that's interesting. So then my question is, how much do they influence each other? Like, how does this process work? Do they all go and sit in their chairs, listen, then go to their awesome houses and sit in their leather-laden dens and write their opinions while they listen to Beethoven? This is how I imagine it. Drinking their Earl Grey tea. I don't know. And then they all meet back up, and they don't really talk to each other, but they just tell each other what their opinion is. Or is it like, hey, Thomas comes over and, he's having, he likes ribs, not because he's black, but because the ribs are good. Okay. But like, so, like, how does it work?
I think you're on to the right process. So there's a period of time where they have what's called oral arguments for these cases. They'll have the plaintiffs, a state or the federal government's solicitor general, who's essentially the lead prosecutor, if you will. Depending on the circumstances, they might even be like the lead defendant. They argue for the government. And then they have the defendants or the plaintiffs, and they could be, like in the case of the temporary protective status ruling that they've curtailed in this term, advocates of Haitian migrants or, the ACLU or, whatever. So they do those, and they spend probably a couple days on that. I don't think anything more than like a week, but they have time in their schedule set aside so they can have these oral arguments, and they'll argue amongst themselves. They might overtalk one another. Then they go to their Supreme Court chambers, and I'm sure they hash it out. And Ketanji Brown Jackson will say to Elena Kagan, "Oh, I'm an idiot, but rule my way." Or I think Roberts and Barrett have become BFFs, and pretty much any time Roberts makes a particular ruling, you can pretty much assume Barrett will rule the same way. You showed me a very interesting video from, admittedly, kind of a more lefty outfit called SCOTUSblog, which still does good work, but you have to understand their bias. They had two researchers dig into the data for 2025, 2026.
Each year, Jake Truscott and Adam Feldman compile a stat pack, or statistical snapshot, for SCOTUSblog of how the justices voted in each case of the term. Note for you nitpickers out there, this does not include cases on the interim docket, which SCOTUSblog covers in a separate stat pack. So let's break it down. This year, the court decided 67 merits cases. Of these, and this may surprise you given the court's reputation as a partisan hotbed, 44% were unanimous. That is, decided 9-0. And this isn't very different from years past. Last term, it was 42%, and the term before that, it was 44%. As for the justices themselves, this analysis can also give us a real sense of who's driving things. And this term, it was a tie. Chief Justice Roberts and Justice Kavanaugh. More specifically, they were in the majority in 95% of all cases. On the other hand, the justice least often to be in the majority was Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson at 67%. Even there, however, her frequency in the majority was still in over half the cases. As for closely divided cases, that is, those decided 6-3 or 5-4, Roberts and Kavanaugh again dominated, being in the majority in 88% of these. Justice Elena Kagan, on the other hand, found herself in the majority in only 35% of these. Another fun question? Which justices were besties this term? That is, which justices most frequently voted together? Here, we find 4 teams. Roberts-Kavanaugh, the power couple, Thomas Alito, Sotomayor Kagan, and Sotomayor Jackson, all agreeing 94% of the time. What about the court's biggest frenemies, or the justices voting least often together? That would be Justices Alito and Jackson, who found themselves agreeing in 49% of cases. But this especially broke down in closely divided cases, where this pair only agreed 4% of the time. And then there is Alito and Kagan, who did not agree in a single closely divided case. But let's end where we began. How often did the court split along so-called ideological lines? That is, with the court's Republican-appointed justices and its Democratic-appointed justices on opposite sides? The answer? 22.7% of the time. This is significantly higher than last term, which was only 9%. But that still means that 4 out of 5 cases were not decided along partisan lines. Still, Justice Brandeis once said he could do the work of the court in 11 months, but he couldn't do it in 12. So one takeaway? The justices may be happy to get away from one another for their summer recess.
And they had this to say. Play the clip. And so we see that there are different coalitions built in the way that the Supreme Court rules. And so I do think there are, we have Alito and Thomas. They're probably the most conservative Supreme Court justices. And Kagan, Sotomayor, and Ketanji Brown Jackson. They're the liberal bloc.
Most liberal.
Exactly. And so I think you're right. Even if it's not inherently obvious to us, they do discuss things. They do have their law clerks provide them the information required to make what they feel, is the right
ideally,
choice.
And ideally, it's not political.
Shouldn't be.
They should be talking about what they think about the law, not, hey, if you rule this way, I'll rule that way. Right? That's what makes the Supreme Court different, because in the Congress, in the House, or the Senate, those kinds of deals are made all the time. Like the pork belly bills, where it's just like, all right, if you're going to vote for that, let's put that one on there too. Where it's a more of a manipulation of the system, whereas the Supreme Court is a interpretation of the system.
I think that's fair. Yeah.
So I don't know. So hopefully, I think the Supreme Court might be our only saving hope if the Democrats will win in the midterm. And then they'll try to pack it, and then they'll water it down and then rig it that way.
Absolutely. So there's a lot of concern from conservatives, Republicans, whatever you want to call them, that, oh my God, if the Senate is Democrat and the president is AOC or whatever, they're going to pack the court. I would settle down just a little bit, because like what happened under the Biden regime, Joe Manchin from West Virginia, he was a Democrat, caucused with the Democrats, but because he was in a entirely red state, West Virginia, he was able to throw a lot of wrenches into the gears of the Democrat machine. And also we had Kyrsten Sinema before she left the party and then just left the Senate. They were two of the more maverick individuals who caucused with the Democrats. And
both, by the way, deemed corporate shills.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah. And so we have a senator by the name of John Fetterman. He's a Democrat out of Pennsylvania, first elected in 2022.
Surprisingly reasonable.
It's
surprisingly
kind of
reasonable.
Now,
who knew?
Again, it's kind of like Manchin. You would think, oh, he's very reasonable, but I'm sure he voted, and I could look it up, but let's just guess here. I'm sure he voted with the Democrats 90% of the time, and so does Fetterman, right? But because of the state he comes from, which isn't a hardcore red state, but it's a red, purple, kind of bluish state, he has to
placate.
Yeah. He has to play the sensible individual. And, I get a lot of conservatives like him because they think he's a Republican in disguise, and they want him to join the Republican Party. And he's like, no, thanks, not going to do it. So I think if, worse comes to worse and they retake the Senate, the Democrats do in 2026 or 2028 or whatever, and then they have a president, I don't think it's a given. That, the filibuster will be gone and the Supreme Court will be packed. Not necessarily. But I do understand the concern. I do understand the fear of such a thing happening. So, that's why I'm not like, well, we need to abandon the Republicans because they never give me what I want. Like, it's about more than just your personal feelings on whether a party 100% all the time represents you. You have a conflict of visions. Thomas Sowell, great book.
Yeah.
The Republicans, mostly, not entirely, free market, pro Second Amendment, pro secure border. And there are exceptions. Well, we have
small government.
Government.
On whole.
Yeah.
Theoretically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And we're talking, we're broadly speaking.
Yeah.
Right. You can find
theory
examples that are counter to that. Democrats, they are mostly pro-open border, pro-massive entrenched entitlement programs, anti-market, pro-9/11 for some reason. I don't understand that. And they are different from the Republican Party. And they say, well, that's a uniparty. Like, yeah, you can find, the things that they agree on and hype that up. But right now we see both parties having hostile takeovers, where the America First MAGA wing is trying to take over the Republican Party. The communist wing of the Democrat Party is exactly
here.
Is pulling the Democrats to the left. Now, of course, where are they winning? They're winning in these safe districts where the general election is
rigged.
Yeah, gerrymandered to all hell.
Rigged districts. California's
rigged.
rigged. Yeah, give me a break.
Yeah.
Massachusetts rigged. Chicago's rigged. Colorado's rigged. There's you can't even get a Republican, because you're saying the guy who won the primary, the Republican in Colorado, he's a lamb to the slaughter.
Marx, yeah. Well, A, because he's kind of a weirdo, but B, he came out of nowhere. He came out of nowhere, and he's claiming to be some life-saving missionary, but he can't really prove it. You just have to take his word for it. He's almost like a Manchurian candidate. If you wanted to show somebody who was a Manchurian candidate put up by the Democrats, you would show Victor Marx. He is the fall guy. He's like you said, lamb to the slaughter. In November, he's going to lose at least by 10, 15, maybe even 20 points to Phil Weiser, who is a communist. He does not like America. He's anti-American. He hates America. And so, what is Colorado going to do in 2026? They're going to elect Weiser. They're going to elect Jenna Griswold. They're going to re-elect Hickenlooper.
Ugh. That's just sickening. That's sickening to me. It's sickening. And then everyone's wondering why everyone's fleeing Oregon, why everyone's fleeing Washington, why everyone's fleeing California. Because the socialistic, communistic programs don't work. They don't work, people. They just don't work. We can't be all things to all people.
And to your point, the communist mayor of Seattle, she was like, oh, if Starbucks wants to leave, let them. And then they make moves. Okay, we'll do it. She had to reverse and say, no. I mean, I understand my words were poorly choiced, and I was speaking from emotion, but we really like Starbucks and blah blah. Like, lady, the cat's out of the bag. Like, you're done. Like, you're done.
Yeah, she lost it. They moved to Tennessee, and then Schultz moved to Florida.
Good for him.
So you're not going to get any of that Starbucks money or Schultz money. Seriously, and he's like a billionaire.
He is. Yeah.
He could have bought somebody a yacht.
Yeah.
He could have got somebody that third home. You know what I mean? Like that, he would have been a great nipple to teat to suck there. You know what I mean?
And so we see,
I don't know,
in New York, not somebody who is far right at all. This guy by the name of Espelot, I might be mispronouncing his name, he gets defeated by this woman named Doria, Liza, Avila Chevalier. Had to do that 5 times just to get it right. And she, again, is one of those candidates that's anti-police, pro-prison abolition, which, keep in mind, one of the first things that the communists did, the Bolsheviks did, when they took over Russia, is unleash the prisoners from the prisons in order to create chaos, which then they would sweep up and create their ordered communist state. So this woman says, well, America kind of deserved 9/11 if you think about it. And she's had to kind of do this, she hasn't even backtracked on anything. She doesn't take anything back. She has no remorse about the things she says. And all the people that support her are having to do this incredible ballerina dance to make her seem tenable to voters. And of course, she's going to win. Yeah, exactly.
Reasonable.
And she's going to win because it's a rigged seat. And I might as well mention, since it's one of my favorite things to do, she went to Columbia College.
Yeah, Columbia grad. Yeah, she did. Son of a. Ugh. Well, That's happy birthday, America.
Here's your gift, communism.
We'll fight against it. We'll rise above it. No, we've been fighting it for years.
The war on communism, the communist war on America did not end just because the Soviet Union folded, people. Okay? It was not the end of history.
Right.
No.
Right.
And
the socialists are taking over Europe. If we did not change by voting Trump back in, we'd be Europe right now.
Oh, yeah, that I totally agree. And we talk about our parallel universe. Our Earth 2 had Kamala won in 2024. To their credit, a lot of these Southern American countries, are voting in market-friendly, capitalist-friendly regimes because they've dealt with the communism of the past 40, 50, 60 years. And they're like,
look at El Salvador. Look at Argentina.
Yep.
Argentina's popping because they voted in that guy. And he was just as crazy as Trump. Yeah.
Yep. The chainsaw.
Yeah. He's cutting everything. Oh, USA. Well, do you want to wrap up with the with Iran?
Let's do it.
So, Iran and the United States have come to a pre-agreement to the agreement. Is this what it is?
Yeah, it's called a memorandum of understanding.
A memorandum of understanding. That's great. So what's going to happen is they're going to get really close to signing something, and then something's going to happen, and they're not going to sign it. Or
I think
they're going to sign it, and then 2 days later, something's going to happen.
yeah. I think that's the trajectory we're on, really. Yeah.
So, peace of the Iran, and we were talking earlier. There's not going to be any peace in Iran until there's a regime change, and I don't think this action was not meant for regime change.
The war, you mean?
Yeah. Well, the war. I call it.
Or the special military operation.
Yeah, special military operation. Yeah, you're really putting that on me. No, yeah. So I don't think anything is going to change unless the regime is going to change, and I don't think the regime is going to change unless there's a social uprising. And I don't know why there isn't one right now.
Because they keep killing
everyone who rises up. I mean, honestly. Is that honestly what's happening? Do we know what's happening at all? Like
it's kind of a shadowy secret country. There's not a lot of transparency there, so who knows what they're doing?
Well, how did it get leaked out that with the women's uprising a few years back? How did that get leaked out?
Social media. So Iran learned.
Social media. Oh.
And Iran learned, and we're like, oh, we're not going to fuck that on social media. We're here. Are you an American? Come on.
Right.
So.
Well, the big thing is if they can open up the strait and get the oil prices down, which they have come down recently.
I've seen significant drops locally.
Yeah, they have come down. So I think if that happens, then the average American is not going to be that bothered. We're not having mass casualties. We're still at 14, correct? This many months later. We don't know how many of theirs.
I'm not exactly sure what the number is. It might have jumped up to about 16 or so. Obviously terrible. Obviously not good. But
horrible, right? But still minimal.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. If there's, I just don't trust those people. I think they're full of Shiite. So
hey, too soon.
You know what I mean?
Have to Tehran away from that conversation and say happy birthday, America. 250 great
happy birthday,
years.
America.
The
grand experiment continues on. The
Fantastic.
grand experiment.
Love America. Wouldn't want to live anywhere else.
Absolutely. Happy birthday.
Anyway, thanks for listening to episode 33 of Notionally Accurate. Thank you to some guy named Jason for joining me on this one. I'm your host, Captain Kirk. More to come on future episodes. Find this podcast on SoundCloud, Rumble, and YouTube. Email me at notionallyaccurate@protonmail.com. That's notionallyaccurate@protonmail.com. Take care, and remember, even if you can't be factually correct, you can always be notionally accurate.